But don't you think that there's a sort of entrenchment to it? Because a lot of viewers that we have on the channel here, and people who are obviously big supporters of your perspective or encourage me to, get you back on, not that that's needed, obviously, are those that are like, well, the West is hypocritical, all these sorts of points, right? So why should we bother trying to deal with the Americans on decent terms if they're just going to slap these tariffs on us? Why shouldn't we try to reorientate ourselves? If America wants to push us away, then we'll explore other options. Or is it a case that India doesn't really have that many options and that America is needed in a broader, grand strategic counterbalance?
Look, despite all our political rhetoric, unlike our first Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, used to get carried away by his own rhetoric, this Prime Minister doesn't get carried away by his own rhetoric. He understands what the power differential is between India and China, and he understands what the power differential is between India and America. He's not going to he's not in the habit of drinking his own Kool-Aid, which can't be said for most of the Indian public. India has a notorious habit of drinking its own Kool-Aid a bit too much, and possibly spiking it with opium or heroin or what have you. He's been the consummate realist. He took what signals he signaled as best as he could at SCO, but he left a path open from which Trump could retreat, which is what Trump has done. Now, see, I would much rather have finessed diplomacy as opposed to loud screeching from rooftops, which only ends up making you look stupid. If Modi had done the same things Trump did, tomorrow when things sort themselves out, Pyotr, you tell me who's going to end up looking stupid, Modi or Trump?
I've made it very clear my opinions about Trump's reactionary, reckless foreign policy. But my only consideration is the long-term implications on the Indo-American relationship, right? There is a lot of frustration or sort of tiresome feelings about America throwing its weight around.
There's nothing much America can do about it, because even the people the State Department chooses to engage with in Delhi are left-wing websites who are the ones who are the most anti-American around. Their view of Indian politics is guided by the Indian left. Their view of Indian foreign policy is guided by the Indian left. Why? Because they're very good with their English. Now, I wish English were a determinant of foreign policy adeptness, because clearly Narendra Modi, who does not speak very good English, or at least very well accented English, is clearly far, far, far superior at foreign policy, probably the best diplomat we've ever had in our existence in the last 70 years as a republic, than our first Prime Minister, who knew how to hold a wine glass, he knew how to handle his fork and his knife, he could run etiquette classes and finishing school classes for noble ladies in England. He could speak English with a British accent, fantastic for him, but the diplomacy was an absolute nightmare. I understand people need catharsis. They would have loved it if Modi had come out and called, Trump a son of a dash, 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 or a bastard or whatever. I'm glad we have a prime minister who doesn't do that, who doesn't play to the gallery, who knows when to play to the gallery and when not to play to it.
So it's all about the long-term strategic thinking here. But on that point then, if things improve with the India-American relationship, there are, workarounds found for deals and something like that, and Trump decides to squeeze China harder, does that mean that India can still inherit a lot of that potential supply chain shifts? There's been a lot of discussion about the relocation of big, tech production facilities from China to, say, Vietnam or India. Is that some of the longer term play here by the Modi administration?
Not so much to India, because unfortunately, we still don't get our regulatory environment up in order. The notion of bureaucrats being accountable is alien to us. I think most Hindus would rather convert to Islam than have bureaucrats who are accountable.
Well, that's a statement and a half.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. There is a higher chance of India becoming a Muslim country than there ever is of an IAS officer being sacked for a mistake he made, as opposed to corruption. And I mean this in all sincerity, by the way. Till you get that, till in India we see technology as a solution for human failings, we don't invest in human beings.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is you have extremely low human capital. You do not give the education that a basic Chinese worker receives. There is no linguistic uniformity. There is no grammatical uniformity. Even within languages, there is a formal written language and there is a slang spoken language, which tend to be extremely different from each other. There are so many barriers to India becoming industrial: land laws, labor laws, language, the level of human capacity building. And the regulatory is the absolute, pièce de résistance of uh, India's pig-headed obstinacy.
Okay. So then what's the game plan by Modi then? What is he hoping to achieve through these reduction in tariff rates? What's he hoping to improve longer term? The impact that it won't have on the GDP growth, because I think some estimations have said it could knock off 1% of GDP growth. Is that more about trying to save the economy in that way?
It could, but it's going to be short term because I expect this thing to get sorted out in a month or two. There are going to be a few more hiccups for sure, but it is going to get sorted out. I think we've seen all the signs of de-escalation happen now. We need to remember the people it hurts the most are Americans themselves.